Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily presented by Amazon Prime for February 11th, 2026. I'm Dave DuFour here with Es Baraheni. Coming up, the Knicks suffer an embarrassing loss, Wemby goes nuts, and Kelly Iko's here to talk about the Rockets. Good morning, everybody. What's up, Es? Thankful for Wemby and the Spurs giving us a little bit of an earlier night.
Yeah.
Blowing out the Lakers.
Yeah, nobody played for the Lakers. But Wemby just decided to make it his playground. It was incredible.
Nuts. Yeah. We'll get to that in a second. Before we get there, let's go negative. Man, the Knicks lost to the Pacers 137-134 in overtime. And this is a stinker for the Knicks, who've been pretty good. 9-1 in their last 10 coming into the game. It's just one of those, it felt like a game that was the week of the All-Star break for the Knicks. Like they just felt like they just didn't have enough steam to finish them off. And then we saw in overtime, they went scoreless the first 4 minutes. I didn't think they were going to score a point before their little hectic comeback.
I mean, honestly, it was bizarre that they even forced it into overtime because it felt like the game was out of reach. Pascal Siakam missed a free throw. There was an opportunity. I think it was a 2-point game. Landry Shamet missed a shot. Then Karl Anthony Towns got fouled on an offensive rebound, knocked down 2 free throws. They force overtime. But it was bizarre that they even got to overtime because of how, to your point, lackadaisical the offense looked. I mean, they shot 30% from 3 last night. No OG Anunoby, no Mitchell Robinson, which is important to note here. Like they were clearly missing some depth, which matters for them. But yeah, it was a tough game for the Knicks. And more than that was Aaron Nesmith locked up Jalen Brunson in that overtime. Like, don't get me wrong, Jalen Brunson still ended up with 40 points, but locked up is relative here.
I would say the last like 8 minutes of the game, Aaron Nesmith really like dominated that matchup to a certain degree. Again, Brunson looked like he was out of gas. Karl Anthony Towns, you look at the stat sheet, you see 22, 14. Okay. Yeah. Had a decent game, but the defense wasn't there for him, right?
Yeah, he got fouled out in this game too. Yeah,
he fouled out. Mike Breen and Clyde Frazier are not very happy with the way Cat's been playing. And
they were openly that was surprising because obviously it's a home broadcast. Yeah, and to me that's always telling when the home broadcast is talking about a specific player, and it was Mike Breen saying that Cat should really stop with the complaining to the foul, complaining on the foul calls. And then Clyde was talking about how he messed up on the offensive foul that forced him to get fouled out. Which,
a little bit of a bad call, I would say, by the referee. But I at least understand the sentiment. Like, you don't have to stick your leg out, on the screen. But, the Knicks, and they've got, this is the first game of a back-to-back. And so they've got the Sixers tonight. You lost the easy one. Yeah. Now you can, I don't know how can you rest guys on the second night of a back-to-back now? Probably not. I don't know if that was their plan, obviously. But now you need to pick up this win.
No, of course. And these are the type of losses that are deflating if you're a Knicks fan, right? All of this momentum build up. You just mentioned they were 9-1. They were looking good. Maybe they had turned a corner, and a loss like this kind of reminds you of some of the flaws of this team in terms of the shot quality down the stretch. It looked like it was, hey, Jalen Brunson, please save us. Hey, Karl Anthony Towns, please save us. And some of the same offensive issues that we saw last year were rearing its head tonight. And it was against a familiar foe. In the Pacers,
well, the Pacers in MSG is just something else. Yeah. But the Knicks are also on this sort of tightrope when it comes to their depth, because when they lose OG and Mitchell Robinson, they lose their defense. Like it is done. Their rim protection is gone. Obviously, what Mitchell Robinson does as a rebounder is hugely important for them. So, we can throw this one out, but it is, again, they have struggled to keep these guys on the court, especially Mitchell Robinson. They got to hope that they can stay healthy. Speaking of healthy, Wemby looked good last night. Looked very healthy. He only played 26 minutes, though. Sadly,
this was an absurd game because you texted me and said, go see what Wemby was doing.
Because we weren't going to cover the game. The Lakers sat everybody. Nobody's playing for the Lakers.
LeBron James is no longer eligible for any awards, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. He missed his 18th game last night. So for the first time in 21 seasons, he's not going to make All NBA.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I mean, it's basically for as long as I've been
every stat we say
basketball.
about LeBron now, we add that little, it's crazy. That's just drop that. We'll make a drop out of that. It's absurd. 21 years. S, where were you 21 years ago?
I honestly think the last time he wasn't an All NBA player, I didn't know what basketball was.
You were in elementary school for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, I came into basketball the same time LeBron James came into the NBA. You know, the NBA draft when he was drafted was maybe one of my first basketball memories. So that's how you know the All NBA. It's crazy. It's insane to think of.
Let's go back to Wemby. So we weren't going to cover the game because the Lakers just didn't play anybody, but Wemby kind of forced our hand here. Yeah. The guy is absurd. I mean, he had a great run in this game. 26 minutes, puts up 40 points, 12 rebounds, 2 steals, had a block, had a couple of assists. The Spurs look good against nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
To be honest with you, 40 on 20 shots in 26 minutes is impressive. But you know what's even more impressive to me, Dave? 25 points in 8 minutes. That's what he did in that first quarter.
Yeah.
25 points in 8 minutes. It doesn't make sense. He was a man on the mission. On 9 shots, he did that. And clearly it was against, again, not the same Lakers team. I just wish he stayed in the game because I would have loved to see him go for 60. I would have loved to see him go for 70. And we never see that anymore, man.
It would be fun. I will say this with how many times he's been banged up this year. And the fact that he really hasn't, I don't think he's looked totally right since he had that little knee hyperextension thing. Yeah. Over the holidays. I'm okay with it.
No, and I get it. You're being pragmatic. I get it. I understand.
It would be more fun though if Wemby put up like 90 points.
Yeah.
You know,
I would love that. I need
most in
someone
NBA
to break
history because I don't know if we can trust that 100-point game. Jayson Tatum, a little bit more Jayson Tatum news. We told you yesterday that he got assigned to the Maine Celtics for practice. Well, he scrimmaged 5-on-5, full contact scrimmage, and the reports out of the gym are that Jayson Tatum looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, after he said this doesn't mean he's coming back. I don't know, man. I feel like we're going to have a Gatorade commercial or something to set this up.
Jordan Brand is cooking.
Where were you? Listen, March 19th, 1995, when Michael Jordan came back against the Indiana Pacers. Like, I remember that day.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to compare Jayson Tatum here to that. I mean, that's a whole different thing. But, I mean, it feels like we might be building up to
a big
Tatum coming back
moment.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful.
I like the fact that he might be making it a surprise because if he's playing 5-on-5 with contact, it feels like he's pretty close, right? I mean, if that's where he's at this point. I was looking at this a couple of weeks ago, but Dominique Wilkins came back after 10 months, right?
Yeah.
And Jayson Tatum is basically reaching that 10-month threshold now. Dominique Wilkins, by the way, was an MVP candidate after he came back from his Achilles injury and All-NBA player, All-Star player. I don't know if that's the version of Tatum we get back if he comes back this season for the playoffs for the Celtics. But just the timeline of return would be remarkable and unprecedented. So, hopefully he comes back this season, man.
Be pretty awesome. Okay, guys, stick around after the break. Speaking of coming back, Kelly Eco returns to the show. You're not going to want to miss it. Hey, the Rockets got a win against I would say not quite the same Clippers, but they were doing pretty well there for a little bit. Our man, Kelly Eco, national reporter for Yahoo Sports, the ecosystem, back in the house. What's up, buddy?
Hey, well, I miss y'all guys, man. How y'all doing, brothers?
Miss you too, buddy. Good to have you here. You were at the game. Kawhi has been a monster recently, and the Rockets, they figured out a way to pull out a win. You know, look, they're down a couple of guys. What does a win like this look like for the Rockets in your book? Like, do you feel like this is a measuring stick game for them when they've been struggling a little bit?
I think yes and no. You know, if you're in Houston's position at this point, given your team's up and down, in terms of consistency, any win at this point, especially going to the break, which is going to be the pivotal evaluation period, is important. Now, granted, this is a very different Clippers team than the one you faced previously, where they were one of the hottest NBA teams coming into the game. Now everything is going to be channeled into Kawhi. You can easily put 2 on the ball and force them to play 4-on-3. This is a much different looking Clippers team, as you saw tonight. They're having to, look for offense from, John Collins. They have to be more aggressive. They're trying to incorporate Ben Mathurin, starting Brook Lopez, who's a shell of himself. This is not a good Clippers team on paper right now. So in terms of a measuring stick, I wouldn't say that this game really moves the needle for Houston, but a win is a win in the Western Conference. So I don't think there'll be any complaints for them, after tonight.
Kelly, we've talked so much, Dave and I, about the 3-point attempts for this Rockets team and the volume in general. And they took 28 threes tonight. They made 14 of them, right? And that helped them in a massive way offensively. But is there any hope that they change or maybe update their offensive system to shoot more threes?
I don't think so. And I think that's one of the biggest that's one of the telling signs of this team. I think coming into the year, if you look at them on paper, there were, I wouldn't call them dreams that were sold, but there was this idea that if Alperen Sengun shot more threes, if Dorian Finney-Smith Jr. came in off the ankle injury and was an effective floor spacer, then you could kind of see the 3-point rate go up. But as you've seen, Alperen, he's more of, he doesn't want to take those threes unless he really has to. He's more of a in the paint, around the elbows kind of guy. Dorian hasn't really found a rhythm since coming back from the injury. And, for so long until Steven Adams went down, this team played to the identity of their double big lineup. So everything's going to be in the paint. Everything's going to be in the mid-range. They're also going to adhere to how Kevin Durant plays the game as well, which is he'll shoot threes, but he's more of a mid-range operator. So in terms of what the math problem suggests, which is why I think it could be a problem in the playoffs, a low-volume 3-point shooting team, typically you have to be exceptional at everything else if you're not going to shoot a ton of threes. This is a math game now. And I think for tonight, you hit what was it, 14 threes, I think you said?
Yeah, 14 to 28.
14 for 28,
28, which is good. But in terms of consistency, you have to play a system where you're getting Jabari shots early, you're getting Reed shots early, you're getting Tari shots early. And that can oftentimes take away from what your best attributes as a team are. So I think the tricky thing for Ime and this group over the break is to figure out, can we raise that level, that 3-point rate, while also keeping our identity as a basketball team? So I think, obviously, if you look at options on the market, the buyout market, maybe some more things come in the next couple of weeks. But frankly, this is the group that's going to be there, in April.
Yeah, they're not making any changes.
Buyout also. Come on, Kelly.
Figure it out.
How often do buyout guys come in and help? Right. Like it's never. It's going to be like Tracy. Is Tracy McGrady going to get, come and sign for the Rockets again? I will say this about the 3-point volume. And with Sengun, especially, like he can be like a release valve guy. And I just think his ability to drive and then kick, I'm not as concerned about him being low volume. I think everyone else, though, they got to get the shots up because I know it's tough to play, 4-round-1 or even 5 out with KD. And ideally, what they had with Steven Adams and Sengun worked well because KD has all that room to operate, and you were getting kickouts to open shooters, right? Like on a KD miss, which, is pretty rare.
Right.
But with Sengun, and we saw it a few times in the game against the Clippers, right? Almost always, if he's guarded by the opposing big, he's got a foot speed advantage. He can get by him and get to the paint. Like we saw him get a couple dunks. And I don't think that his volume needs to go up. Everybody else. I mean, even Reed Sheppard, like he only took 6 threes in the game. He needs to just be gunning because he is the guy that outside of KD is really going to be drawing the attention out there. So, I want to swing it back and stay with this offensive thing because their identity was we were gonna crush you in the mid range and we were gonna crush you on the glass. And so they were just going to win. They were going to win the math problem on twos. Yeah, which is tricky. So what's the pivot since they don't have Steven Adams? Because I'm sorry, but Clint Capella and Alperen Sengun, that's not going to get it done.
Yeah. So I actually talked to Kevin about this a couple of days ago, but if you go back and look at Kevin's history, the last couple of years, he's always been a proficient pick and roll player. And I talked to him about putting the ball more in his hands and allowing him to be an initiator. He talked about how everyone understands why he's on this team to make shots, but sometimes, as opposed to being a play finisher, you can be a play initiator. Put him the ball, let him run pick and roll with Alperen, let him run maybe an inverted pick and roll with a smaller guard.
They've done that with Reed. Yeah. Reed runs that little ghost flare screen. I mean, he just,
comes out and it's open for a three. So they're bottom 10 in terms of pick and roll frequency, which is, in terms of high octane, up to modern offenses, which is one of the Rockets calling, or the things against them that's been over the last couple of years is that they've had an outdated offense, right? If you want to speed things up, get them a little bit more modern, you need high pick and roll and put the ball in Kevin's hands. I think what would happen is that this is a Rockets team that's, I think, the 25th in time to shot. They take a lot of time off the shot clock. They're very patient with it. But if you put the ball in his hands, maybe you can speed things up. Maybe you can get Reed or Dorian or Jabari more looks early to open things up. And then you can go to your two-man game with Alperen and have that high-low balance. So I think if you want to pivot and you want to find another branch of your identity, I think it's a smart idea to lean on one of the greatest scorers of all time and say, hey, let's put the ball in your hands and allow you to create and see what happens after that.
Yeah, I saw that. He's got 1,020 plus point games now.
It could be a million, and I would believe you.
He's fourth on the all-time list. I mean, it's.
No, Kevin Durant's incredible. What's funny about KD and I watch a guy in Toronto and Brandon Ingram who tries to replicate what Kevin Durant does, and both of those guys, there's a quality that's difficult to get the ball to them, which is they're both skinny dudes, and it takes a while for both of them to fight through screens and get into the post. And the post-entry pass itself, it feels like it's a lost art to actually get the ball into their hands quickly. And I think that's something the Rockets struggle with. It's like the timing of getting the ball into KD's hands a lot quicker compared to having him be the trigger guy in certain actions. Should Reed Sheppard start?
For what this team needs, no. I think he's more effective as a change of pace guard. Now, if you're looking at a situation where, and this has been something that's very confusing to me, since Steven Adams went down, they've only played, like, their small ball group, the most minutes they've played is like 35 or 36. And I thought that, because Ime had said that he was going to lean more on small ball, in the wake of Steven Adams' season-ending ankle injury. We haven't really seen that much small ball from this group since then. I mean, there was a couple games early on after Steven got hurt where you kind of saw, KD and Jabari at the 4 and the 5 and Josh and the man and Tari, and the ball's moving, but we haven't really seen that much since then. So going back to your earlier point about another way to pivot or another wrinkle in their offense potentially, I think going back to small ball could be an option. It's always there. I know Jabari's always talked about why he can be effective as a stretch 5. He can handle the ball a bit, shot create a bit. You pair that with a KD and a smart player in the backcourt, like an Amanda or Reed and Tart. Now you might have, optionality, versatility on both ends of the floor. So for Reed, he's more effective coming off the bench, being aggressive. Going back to what Dave said earlier, if he's taking 6 threes a game, that's not really why you're there. That needs to be close to the 10, the double digits, to at least force the defense to have to react. Like if defenses know that you're going to be passive and you're going to try and defer to Alperen or KD, that's not why they drafted you, brother. Like, they brought you in to shoot the lid off the ball. So I think just him being more aggressive and confident is what can be a real bench weapon, and that could be really effective in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's tricky with his height, but sometimes he might need to take some bad ones. Do you know what I mean? Sure, and it's beyond just like, exactly. Just to keep him honest, like, Con Knipple has been really good at this as a rookie already. I mean, you watch him and he's just gunning. I think that Reed could probably learn a lot from that. Also, that small ball lineup with the men, that gives you another screen roll guy. I mean, that's more vertical spacing. Also, another way to get a men going downhill, which is when he's a little bit more dangerous. They do have options. So I'm really curious to see, after they've got some time out of the break, what this looks like when they kind of reassemble. Where do you see that they stack up in the West? Do they have a shot in your opinion, to come out and make it to the finals?
To come out of the Western Conference? No.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I have them in like.
They say I'm hating on the Rockets.
This is music to
that?
Dave's ears because Dave has been a Rocket skeptic for the last month.
Yeah, I am skeptical. And it's a hard. They're on a tightrope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that is not. It's just the way they operate as a unit offensively. They're 25th, I think, in offense over the last 2 weeks, and I'm seeing kind of similar things to last season where, you know, if you struggle in the half court and you struggle from the three, once teams understand that, have that data on you and that film, we'll see what the Warriors did last year, which was they're just going to go zone and they're going to say, you have to shoot 45 threes to beat us. Yeah. And if you can't, it's going to be a very long series. So, yes, I think in the playoff series, you could see Kevin Durant raise the ceiling of this team, but you could also see the weaknesses of this team be, you know, magnified in terms of like shot creation, you know, control, pace. Those slow playing teams in the playoffs, everything slows down. So it's not as if you can just rely on we're a patient, you know, team that's going to probe the defense and get the best shot. You have to have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. So do I see the Rockets as real contenders right now? No, but I think they're a very strong tier 2. And in the playoffs, anything can happen. That momentum swing, if you steal a game on the road, you come out, anything can happen. But as currently constructed right now, I think they're a good second round out.
I think one of the biggest questions I have for them in the postseason in general is like their fourth quarter execution, which is exactly what it was last year. Like the clutch time offense starts to bog down again, and it's a lot of one-on-one ISO, and you're not generating a ton of good looks. And Fred VanVleet plays a huge part in that. I think getting him back would be massive. Is there any hope that Fred comes back for the postseason?
I think they're hanging on to any thread, even if it's like a 2% chance. Like Fred. You know, he has these personal benchmarks that you have to clear. Yeah. I know you're seeing a kind of similar thing with Jayson Tatum in terms of you want to see how your body feels. Obviously, your brain is telling you one thing, but physically you might be somewhere else. So getting to those benchmarks will give you a better sign of where you're feeling in March, April, you know, like that if you're trying to come back, because he's a competitor. Fred is tough as nails, and he understands that this team needs him. And I know you heard Alpern talk about the difference between last year and this year was Fred. And he's the organizer, late games, he can get guys in those shots. I know it's killing him to not be out there being able to play with Kevin because of all the things that they discussed in terms of schematics and get guys open and that inverted pick and roll with him as a screener and just being a veteran presence on the floor. So is there a chance? I guess, like if you were to put it on a number, maybe like a 5% chance, but as long as it's not zero, I think they'll always operate with that in their back pocket that, hey, we might get Fred back for a second round. You know, if we make it past the first round, we come back in May or late April and give us the boost that we need. So that's kind of how they're moving with things right now.
You feel like that played a part in them not making any moves at the deadline to go out and get a guard? Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Because if you think about it, bringing in a guard is like a shiny new toy, and that would have helped things a lot. But if you're where the Rockets are, you have to find the balance of bringing in somebody that's not going to hurt the development of Reed and the men, while also is understanding that once Fred comes back, you might be on the out. So it's like, how do you find that right player? Like Kobe White wasn't that because he's expecting to play. Like
that's right, and he's expecting a contract. And I'm assuming that whoever they were bringing in, they're looking for something short term, and they're back to the buyout market. You know, maybe Chris Paul. You know, if they work something out.
Like there are players, there are these guards, and I think what they need most is if you were to go bring somebody in, is just someone that's an organizer. Like I think their biggest issue sometimes is. A ton of the reason why they take so many shots late in the shot clock is because they're looking for the right shot. And it takes them a while to process things in the half court when defenses are rotating and you're trying to look from LP to Kevin, to Tari. Like it's a lot of stuff going on. And if you have someone that can come in to give those guys a break, a breather or two and get guys quick shots, I think that would be a help. Now, going back to the whole, do bio guys actually help? That's,
what you're describing is Chris Paul, though. Like, if there's one thing that dude can do is organize an offense,
But I just am not sure if you can have that personality come into that locker room. I don't know. Maybe with Ime,
that's a lot of personality in that locker room. That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot.
You never know. I mean, I will say at least, you look at the Houston Rockets, it seems to be everybody's pretty serious. And I think that the issues that Chris Paul had with the Clippers, that was a pretty unserious time in their season. So I don't know. I'm not sure who they can get that can actually help, but I'm certainly interested to find out. Chris Paul would be fun.
Chris Paul would be fun. Cole Anthony would be fun.
Cole Anthony.
Yeah. I like
interesting.
That yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to see where that goes. Guys, go and follow Kelly Eco. He's not with us anymore. He's with Yahoo Sports. One of the best, the ecosystem. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Love y'all guys.
Yeah, I love you too, man. Really glad you could hang out with us tonight. And I'll see you out at All-Star this weekend. For Kelly Eco and Es Baraheni, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.